We are attempting to demonstrate in microcosm the values and the practices the U.S. should follow on the macro scale.
One of the accusations always been made about Washington, too insular, not sufficiently outward-looking.
It has to be a new day in terms of think tanks. The issues are global. The consequences of what happens is global.
I think what Carnegie's doing is vital. They're beginning to get the nodes of what the world is going to have to look like and how we're going to be wired 30, 40, 50, or maybe 60, 70 years from now.
We now have 5 people on the staff in our Beijing office and 10 in Beirut from several different Mideastern countries. The Moscow office is 42 people, in that case including just 1 American, and the Brussels office will open in 6 weeks.
Good morning, everyone. Our session this morning is entitled, "Is There Still a Political Reform Agenda in the Middle East?" What we're trying to do here is really help the Arab world develop its own capacities for independent policy research. And although a number of American organizations have been involved in the region, this is a new kind of venture. Arab management, Arab staff, Arab agenda. It's the Carnegie Endowment, but operating in a different way in the Arab world. And I think we're going to see some real results.
Authoritarianism, security services and the military establishment, the lack of rule of law, lack of respect for human rights. So if you look at these structuring realities of Egyptian politics, really nothing has changed. We've turned a corner in Lebanon and perhaps in the region, and the corner I'm referring to is the very, very serious fear of the spreading of sectarian warfare, Sunni-Shia conflict, which is ongoing in Iraq and has been so for a couple of years, but was contained in Iraq.
I mean, Carnegie Endowment has been always given a very international dimension, and now when you have an office there, I think things will be moving in the right direction.
It shows the prescience of Carnegie to really see where the future is going in the Middle East, to understand that this is a region that is going to concern a lot of us in one way or another for the next decade or so, and that by continuing to talk about what's going on in the Middle East from Washington doesn't really forward the understanding that we need these days.
It's my pleasure to welcome you primarily for a conversation with Ambassador Javad Zarif, who will join us by satellite from New York in the absence of relations that allow him to make the long journey in person.
What Carnegie delivered today in the exchange with the Iranian ambassador to the United Nations was an incredible insider meeting. It made huge news and it helped educate us. I mean, there's enough trust in there, I think, that we learned things from the ambassador about their objectives, our objectives.
For an Iranian ambassador to give so much information, albeit off the record, it was still illuminating.
I think the new vision has come at a perfect time for the non-proliferation agenda. Carnegie's resources abroad as well as here in Washington is perfect. We have exactly the partners we need to make sure that we're shaping the questions to the problems appropriately and also getting to the right solutions.
In 1910, Andrew Carnegie founded this organization with a goal of establishing the conditions for an enduring world peace. He believed that that would be done in a very short period of time. But wisely, we think, he gave the trustees a great deal of discretion. And I quote, "You will have the widest discretion as to the measures and policies they shall from time to time adopt in carrying out that mission." We're gathered here today to add another significant dimension to Carnegie's rich history.
When Jim called and described to me the vision, I said, "I'd like to be part of it." And he said, "You're welcome." I cannot agree more with the platform and the plans that Jessica has talked about and that are going on in this room today. And congratulations to all of you.
So whether it's opening operations in China, fighting for a reasonable NGO law in Russia, seeking new life for non-proliferation through universal compliance, are using technology and translation to communicate in the Islamic world, MacArthur depends on Carnegie.
It's a unique privilege to sit on this platform with so many wonderful colleagues to talk about this rich and potentially controversial question of Russia, China, and the United States, moving from great game to cooperation in Central Asia.
The very fact that China is part of a supranational organization, for the first time actually, since the People's Republic of China came around, ever that country is reconsidering and even adjusting its foreign policies on account of obligations that it has assumed. Another reason for China to be so interested in Central Asia is that just like China, the Central Asian countries are only halfway through their transitional period. They are emerging.
Well, the event this morning is a great success. We've done 3 debates, each covering a different issue. Today's event is on a very serious topic.
In its own region, China's goals are to control sea and air lines of communication over China and out to about 300 miles.
We are not, in my view, on the verge of a global military competition with China as we were with the Soviets. There are a long list of reasons why China is not the Soviet Union, and it is not inevitable that the U.S. and China are predestined to be enemies.
We're not attempting to globalize for the sake of doing so. We are doing it first out of a very deep conviction that this is the best way we can help advance core U.S. national interests. It is also the case that we are living in a world where more and more critical issues have moved beyond the reach of national solutions, either because they reside in the global commons or because they require the cooperation of so many countries if policy measures are to succeed.
Your goal of a global think tank, no longer a group of scholars in a place, but an integrated global network, is a worthy ambition that Carnegie can in fact achieve. Your new vision is about how people think, understand each other, and find fresh ways forward to achieving humankind's highest aspirations. We salute your new vision. It's our privilege to be your partner as we seek together a more just and humane world of peace.